In today's rapidly changing world, I'm seeing a growing number of children and adolescents coming to my office with mental health concerns. Part of this may be greater mental health awareness, but some of this can also be the greater level of stress facing our kids today. Poor abilities to cope, and maybe broken family backgrounds that are contributing to this increasing number. I have kids as young as 3 come into my office with all the signs and symptoms of depression, and some are even suicidal. Yet stats show us that only 1 out of every 2 kids who have mental health challenges get the help they need, even though research now shows us how treatable many of these conditions are. Part of this may be that mental health symptoms in children often mask themselves as behavioral problems. But the other part may be the great fear that parents have that they will be labeled bad parents if they acknowledge how serious their kids' problems are. This is not to alarm parents who are watching this, but to help underline the importance of taking mental health concerns with their kids seriously, but also to encourage them to get help early. The mistaken belief that the kids will outgrow their anxiety or depression is not only wrong, but research shows that their symptoms tend to get worse without some sort of intervention. The good news is that many times the intervention strategies are quite simple, and parents will often see good results fairly quickly. Now keep in mind for kids and adolescents, the signs may be more behavioral. So here are some things to look for. Changes in school performance, poor grades despite strong efforts, changes in sleeping or eating habits, changes in their ability to manage daily responsibilities, excessive worry and anxiety, or excessive avoidance behavior, for example, refusing to go to bed or to school, excessive complaints about physical ailments. Hyperactivity could be one, or persistent nightmares, or persistent disobedience or defiance, it's unusual, or frequent temper tantrums. Sometimes substance abuse, truancy, defiance of authority, and of course also prolonged negative mood and sometimes even a preoccupation with death. Now, if you're starting to see that your child may be experiencing mental health problems, the first thing you need to do is ensure that you get an accurate diagnosis, typically with a psychologist or a child psychiatrist. Remember, your family doctor is typically not trained to this level of diagnostic skill. So while they may be the ones to initially identify possible concerns, be sure to ask for a referral to a qualified psychologist or psychiatrist. Now keep in mind that many of the symptoms I mentioned earlier could be for a number of different mental health issues. So the first step of accurate diagnosis is really important. Then look for a psychologist, a psychotherapist, or social worker who's experienced working with kids or adolescents. You want to be sure that they're skilled in a variety of therapy modalities that have been found to be effective with kids and adolescents, particularly non-verbal expressive therapies, such as play therapy or art therapy or even sand tray therapy. Don't be afraid to get references, and remember, it's important to consider your child and teen's preference as you look for a good fit. If your child is 12 years or older, remember that they actually have the legal right to make their own decisions about whether they want to attend therapy, even whether they want you involved, and whether they'll allow the therapist to communicate with you about their sessions. You know, it may be difficult for you as parents to let go, but remember, therapy only works if your child is engaged, motivated, and willing to do the hard work necessary. In most instances, therapists will want to include you in the process and teach you skills so you can support and help your child at home, since you're with them 24/7, and your influence can go a long way towards helping your child. And not uncommonly, kids who struggle with depression or anxiety may have parents who also struggle similarly. So it can be helpful not just for your own healing, but also to recognize how your fears and maybe your dysfunctional patterns of thinking and feeling could be impacting your child's mental health. Now, if your child or adolescent refuses to get help, then you should still get help to know how to support them appropriately, set healthy boundaries, and stop enabling them from facing their fears, or how to confront them lovingly on their need to get help. Once you stop enabling their avoidance behavior, you may find that they will be ready to seek help. If this sounds like your child, please get help for them so that you can equip them to thrive and handle the stresses of life.